Saram, we're here with my brother, literally my brother, Simon Powell. And Simon's been one of the most sought after individuals for this 95 stories. I've been after him for a long time. He told me from the beginning, though, he said it's going to be closer to the end when I do it. So he's a man of his word. He's here with us. And I know he has a great story about Swami, and just opening it up for you, brother, to share.
So this story happened in 2005. Me and my brother were there for about a month. It was in September. And we had decided, early in the trip to get very serious about our spiritual efforts. So we weren't doing any socializing. We weren't, going out in the village. We just Darshan, bhajans, reading books, doing a lot of meditation, things like that. One of the things that I had taken up was, and I just kind of mentioned this because I feel like with Swami a lot of times if you make a really sincere effort, you often get, he shows you some, not to say reward, but you get something back. And what I was doing at the time was I was doing a lot of rounds of Gayatri mantra and Sai Gayatri mantra. And after a couple of days, I had worked up to the point where I was doing 9 rounds of each, which, anybody who's done that kind of sadhana, it takes some time. It was about 6-7 hours a day, which is, most of your day, but, you're just kind of sitting, waiting for darshan a lot of the time. So you might as well be doing something useful. So I would do my rounds, and then, I had a lot of thoughts that trip about an interview. But about halfway through the trip, I kind of got to a place where I felt like I was having this kind of, and a lot of devotees, people will have this experience too, and I've talked to a lot of people about it, but a telepathic kind of communication forms. And so, anytime he was out for darshan, I could just sit there and ask him questions, and he would answer in my mind. So, I kind of pretty quick was like, well, you got all these people doing all the sevas and big service projects and schools and hospitals and all this stuff's going on. I'm just me. I'm not doing all this stuff. Like, I don't need you to take up your time for me. So I kind of had gotten over the interview thing. But he said to me one day during darshan, he said, well, what do you want? And I said, Swami, I want experiences so that, one day, if somebody asks me, I can say, well, this is what I saw. This is what I experienced, firsthand. Like, this is what, and that's kind of the origins of the story, so to speak. So it was, the evening time, and I had this habit, if I hadn't finished my rounds for the day, I would go out to this field that was out past the North Indian Canteen. And there's a nice field out there at the time. It's all buildings now, but at the time there's a nice field out there, and there was kind of the hills. There was a little ridge line there, and the sun would set just beyond it. And, a lot of who've spent time in Prashanti, that the sunsets there very, they can be very magical. So I was sitting and I was doing Sai Gayatri, and I just came to this moment of, epiphany or revelation or whatever you want to call it, where I just could feel the oneness of the world. This beautiful thing I was seeing was one with me, and I was one with it, and Swami was one with me. All of it was one. And it was, the change from that intellectual understanding of that spiritual truth to the, actual understanding of it. And I was overcome. I mean, right now I'm very calm, but at the time I was just, I was crying, I was blissed out. It was very powerful moment. And as I was having that experience, I started, I was looking at the horizon, and it was all the beautiful reds and oranges, and the layers of the clouds just went on forever. And I just kind of started looking up, and as I got to like the clouds directly above me, this huge formation was in the sky, and it was Swami. You know, he was smiling down at me. It was his face smiling down at me, and it was so big, like you see it about 65 degrees. It was so big that like that was all I could see, was just this face, this Swami's face smiling down at me. And it was so detailed, you could see his teeth, like he was smiling, you could see his teeth. And it was, the clouds were very low lying, so like it was, you know, red and orange on the horizon, and then above me was kind of the purples and the pinks, and then behind me was the, you know, twilight blue. And the low-lying clouds, they don't get the color because the color's hitting higher, you know, the higher clouds. So the low-lying clouds are kind of white and gray, so it literally looked like a black and white photograph, just there.
Wow.
And I just marveled at it. I just stared, and it was his picture and his hair, and then all the way around him was a perfect pink halo all the way around. And I even like kind of looked around real quick because I was like, you know, maybe somebody was walking by and just be like, hey, look, you know, Swami, you know. There's no one walking by. So I just sat and stared at it, and it went on for about a minute, you know, and it was solid in the sky, and the clouds around it moved a little bit, but it was just solid picture of him. And yeah, I mean, what do you when you see something like that, your mind really, you can't really, you're seeing it and you know you're seeing it, but you can't comprehend it. And these days when I think back on it, I think one of the things I think of is like, you know, who can do that? You know, he knew I was having the moment, and he knew I was going to look up, and when I did, he was smiling at me. So just wanted to share that with everyone, and